Dear Venerable Sirs, Dhamma friends, we are going to have the start for the today's Dhamma talk. May everyone settle down for the Dhamma talk and give the consent with sadhu, 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 please. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Desahang dukkha nirodhagamini patipadarya saccang putto veya karomi tesahang cittang aradhemi Panyassa veya karananti ti. Dear Venerables, Dhamma friends, this is the still proceeding of along the same sutta, the Maha Sakuludaayi Sutta. The Buddha is presenting his own qualities upon which the disciples are venerating him, respecting him, revering him, and wish to live in dependence upon him with the respect and the veneration. There are 5 qualities. Now we are in the 4th aspect or 4th attribution, that is whenever someone, specifically the disciples, question about the 4 Noble Truths, one after the other, Buddha is giving an explanation so that the minds of the questioning person will be satisfied. So that is why they are living in dependence upon the Buddha with respect, veneration and revering. So not the other qualities that Sakuludaayi suggested. They are also some of the attributes or epithets or good qualities of the Buddha. But according to the Buddha himself, these are the qualities the Buddha wished to proclaim or enumerate. The 4th qualities, whenever someone is asking about the 4 Noble Truths, one after the other, Buddha can give theoretical explanation. It is very rational. It is very inferential, one can understand, and they, even before their very application or getting the verification, they will be happy the way the Buddha is presenting. So far we have discussed about 3 out of 4 these Noble Truths. Today the quotation I cited was Tesahang dukkha nirodhagamini patipadarya saccang putto veya karomi. Whenever someone is asking the way leading to this cessation, I explain them. I explain in a way satisfying their minds by my explanation. So that is to say, the explaining the suffering and indicating the way out, Buddha never stop at that level. He explained which is digestible, which is practical for the sentient being. Not only for the noble people, not only for the true man, but even the normal person can start wherever it may be his or her status. This is a very, very special kind of a recipe. Other people discriminate the liberation or any kind of a special thing only for this sect, not for the others, or basic qualifications. So therefore, the way the Buddha present is, if you are a human, that's a basic qualification, and you can start from the point where the point where you are. So therefore, first and foremost in this way leading to suffering, way leading to cessation is, first you have to assess yourself and then understand where to start, and while proceeding, definitely you can acquire the basic qualifications, and ultimately it gathers the momentum and goes. So if someone to read the other discourses of the Buddha, whenever he is being asked or whenever he is explaining about this fourth noble truths, he in short mentioned the eight noble paths. So whenever someone to understand it, whenever someone to apply this and put into one's day-to-day use, and then when it is coming to the realization, the Eight Noble Path is the concise form, and according to the Sakuludaayi Sutta, the Buddha says, whenever Buddha proclaimed the path leading to this cessation of suffering, they start the journey, not the first limb or first aspect of the Eight Noble Path, but with mindfulness, but with establishment of mindfulness. So therefore, as far as the way leading to suffering is concerned, the culmination, the end of it is Eight Noble Path. But to go up to that level, you have to start the point where you are, and there onward you have to develop the other spiritual qualities and to do away with the defilements. So therefore, the early part of the path is the precursor or the conducive conditions for the Eight Noble Paths to happen. So after completing this fourth aspect or fourth attribution of the Buddha, then he says, whenever Udaayi is, when someone come and ask about the truth of suffering or the cause of suffering or cessation or way leading to cessation, they develop kind of a desire to put into practice. That means their faith is now become activated or mobilized. So no more they will try, they will strive. That change is a very big difference. As far as you are not sure about the master, as far as you are not sure about the way, as far as you are not sure about the object of meditation, you keep on asking different masters, going to different meditation centers, different techniques. That is we call trying. But once you decided the master, once you decided the place, once you decided the object of meditation, no more trying, but you keep on striving. That striving indicates your faith is now mobilized. Your faith is put into use. In Pali, Saddha become kusala chanda. How can I acquire? How can I be familiar with that or season in this very life? So you feel like doing. So if it is not happening, the process stop at the theoretical level or book knowledge or at the just listening. What you have listened never make any sense, make any appeal or make any change in your thinking. If that is the case, you will never strive. You will be just trying with the different masters and all the kind of thing. But if you understand and if you develop kind of a desire to put into practice, that means the no more it is called unfounded faith or superficial faith. Now you are committing yourself, you put into that, and that is called kusala chanda, and to do it. And when it comes into that level, that your theoretical understanding is come into the deductive knowledge, or you deduce inferentially, yes, this is the what I have to try, and then or not you are trying, and now you are get into the path or get committed into the path. So this is a kind of a very crucial place. Of course, when I present this idea, it will lead to a lot of repercussions and a lot of discussions and a lot of argumenting. So when and where you develop this kusala chanda, you are an Arya. You are an Aryan Puggala. Because the Buddha says there are 8 noble people, those who are in the first path and those who are in the first fruition. Those who are in the second path and the second fruition. Third path and the third fruition. And the fourth path and the fourth fruition. So where is the entering into the path? Some people in the commentarial says, as soon as you have taken the 3 refugees, the refuge of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, you are on the path. So that means you are the first Aryan Puggala. But many question it because they are not binding by the restrainment. For example, in Sri Lanka, 74% of the population Buddhist. They all taken the 3 refugees, so we call Buddhist. But they are not abiding by the Sila Sikha, Samadhi Sikha, Panya Sikha, or moral restrainment, concentration restrainment, and the wisdom. So namesake, in their birth certificate, even in my birth certificate, it mentions I am a Buddhist. But they never live up to that. So therefore, meditation masters never happy to say, just by taking the refugees, in the conventional sense, you are on the path. So then when one can understand, when is the entering into the path, not the fruition. So they say, whenever someone select a master, select an object and the center, keep on practicing or become striving, their own word, he is on the path. So that means you are, even now, you are respectable, venerable, honorable, everything. Because you started, you committed. So that means, the Buddha says, those people, they start, after proclaiming the path, they start for foundation of mindfulness. So, easy for one to indicate the moment you understand the value of mindfulness, any commitment of yours to be mindful, that is the entering into the path. So, therefore, you may be Buddhist, but if you are not practicing, if you are not committing yourself, that means you yourself will have the self-accusation, I am a Buddhist for the namesake. But I can make assurance, any person, ordained or non-ordained, never mind, started with this mindfulness. Whenever someone come acquainted with mindfulness, he or she really start to see the difference or change. They are Aryans. They are the lowest kind of Aryans, and they worth respecting, praiseworthy. So, by the society on ethical level, and that particular person also, once one come into acquainted with mindfulness, seasoned with the mindfulness, understand the mindfulness, define the mindfulness, the real change going to take place. Then onward, he or she, when and where time permits, try to be mindful. So that is how you fulfill the duties. And in the Sakuludaayi Sutta, Buddha explains this as a quality of the Buddha. If you really understand the path, definitely you are a different person. You always try to maximize the mindfulness. So therefore, easy, or it is pragmatic or practical to say, he or she become active Buddhist when and where he or she started with mindfulness. So there may be some questions, because some people think by being generous, giving dana and all the kind of things, they are Buddhist. And some people think, according to the Sri Lankan language, giving dana or generous to the monks and kind of thing, and once a month go to the temple and observe 8 precepts. Once or twice they are higher grade of Buddhists, but still they don't know the mindfulness. So therefore, till that he is not going beyond the morality, even that morality they are practicing is not something pragmatic, it is something not practically leading, but they just keep the 8 precepts and not understand, not giving a real value for the mindfulness. So therefore, the moment he or she is introduced mindfulness and he or she is good enough to grasp the idea or deduce it or inferentially understand it, then onward real change is happening. So therefore, a person like me, born Buddhist, ready to, low or estimate low the dana and sila, and then give higher value to the mindfulness. But when one day when I am talking with that, one of our senior foreign monk came and told, what you are telling is bias. Bhikkhu Bodhi has written an article telling people are directly going to the meditation in America. They don't know what is the generosity is. They don't know what are the precepts are concerned. So therefore he says that directly coming and asking for the insight meditation and tactics from the master and sitting on the cushion and they think they are very great meditators. So that is not, but they must have their preliminaries like generosity and the sila or morality, and then on the meditation has to happen. So specifically, if people come from different creeds or different religions, they have to understand the sila, dana sila bhavana. So next time I went there, I was lucky enough to meet Bhikkhu Bodhi. I told Bhante, you are undermining my inside meditation and you are going to highlight the dana sila. And that is the people will be very happy in Sri Lanka. If you are going to candidate for the president, you will get the maximum votes. Because people are very happy not to meditate and give dana and sila and telling we are full-fledged members of the Buddhist. Then he took about 1.5 hours to explain, Dhammajiva, you are coming from the Buddhist country. Imagine the people meditating in America, they never practice generosity. They don't know. And they don't care about their precepts. They think by understanding the meaning of mindfulness and applying the mind, everything gets fulfilled like. Then I told Bhante, I also think so. No, he told it's wrong. I am a born American. The people has to understand the social effect. People have to understand the ethical effect. And just by sitting, they run mad. Many go to the asylum. Because whenever the experience happens, mindfulness, if they have no compassion, if they have no social values, they can't bear up with, they can't put up with this evolution going to take place. So you have to have a thorough anchorage with the ethical effect, with the mutual understanding. So it took long time, and I told Bande, I'm sorry, because I am coming and arguing with you without reading the article. So he gave me the article, told, whenever you are introducing mindfulness, yes, that is a very changeover or hiatus or crucial place or changeover place, but he or she must have the basic cultural or ethical preparation, then only the mindfulness can take establishment. Otherwise, mindfulness won't fit it because that your basics are not there. But a person like me, born in Sri Lanka, and seeing my parents and my relatives, I see they are very good in generosity. They have a very good relationship with the temple and they have their due days for the dana. Occasionally they go for observe precepts. Are you also happy to go to the precepts and take 8 precepts because that day I am going to get a good meal. So as a young boy, I never miss it. Even our school is going to organize the day for Sila, my name is in the first. I go definitely. Because people generously give so much of food and kind of thing. So this is what Buddhism is. So when I first met Venerable Dhammajiva, he told, you are not qualified even to discuss. Because you Buddhists are completely telling we are coming from the island of Dhamma, and the way we are practicing and propagating internationally, you don't know what is a Buddhism is. But he was not a born Buddhist. I was a born Buddhist and got a credit pass in the ordinary level exam also. So I was so angry. I told, how can Bhante, you claim like that you are coming from different country and you are born Catholic or Christian. I am a born Buddhist. Then you say, that is why I am telling you are so arrogant and idiot. What is the meaning of Buddhism? So I told, it will take few hours for you to explain, for me to explain what is Buddhism. He says, I am a foreigner. I am going to tell you, if someone asks what is the meaning of Buddhism, if you can say, right from the beginning, the mindfulness is the real change. So I was not happy because I have never heard by that time what is the mindfulness is. He was the first person introduced me, not only introducing, make it out, telling this is the crux. So still I had my doubt. Of course it was very helpful for me and there's a changing and I was happy to follow him. And recently we started with this Dasuttara Sutta, and there Venerable Sariputta is asking for the fellow practitioners, what is the most helpful or useful Dhamma if someone asks one, enumerate to one, or tell one, what is the first thing? It's the most helpful. He says diligence. So that is the nutshell. Buddhism in nutshell. So if you are a theoretician, or if you are a philosopher, or if you are an academic person, you may find very difficult to put the Buddhism into a nutshell and tell, because it is talking about the cause and effect relationship, Four Noble Truths, the desire, hatred and ignorance, and Sila, Samadhi, Panya, many things. But whenever you are a practical person, when you are a meditator, you can say either diligence or mindfulness. So that understanding or that deductive knowledge or inferential knowledge is very important, specifically for yogis. And there is a kind of a biasness telling that the many understand this mindfulness and the diligence as vipassana. Please simply understand it is not so. Whether you practice samatha or vipassana or concentration or wisdom, the mindfulness is the precursor. Mindfulness is the starting point. If you do not know that, at least on the theoretical basis or inferential basis, you will never give the due respect for the mindfulness. You always give the due respect for the faith, or to the effort, or to the concentration, or to the wisdom. So you are getting stagnated, perpetuating in the same trap. You can't see the way out. So therefore, Venerable Jnanaponika writing his book, The Power of Mindfulness, he says, those who have not clarity in their mind, they think faith is the most important. And they fight with other people, those who have the wisdom, they say wisdom is useless, faith. And the wise people will say, you are only faithful person, you don't have the wisdom, they are fighting. And the other person says, no, effort is the real thing. And the other person says, you are trying too much and your mind is agitated. I am very calm and quite concentrated. You are too much of effort, so it is bias. The effort person say, you are calm and quiet, you are sitting here and now, you are not dealing with your defilement, you don't know who you are. So therefore you have to have efforts of fighting. But Venerable Jnanaponika says, they are leading to unbiased and arrogance and argumenting. But mindfulness, they have nothing to argue with someone. Whenever someone keep the mindfulness in the forefront, it take care about the other aspects as well as the balance of the other aspects. Faith and the wisdom has to be balanced. They themselves are very arrogant. Or I would say wisdom is more arrogant and suppressing the faith. Or energy is more arrogant and suppressing the concentration. But mindfulness is the one going to give a good picture, large picture. So that has been suppressed or misunderstood and not given the proper value. So for the last 1,000 years or so in Sri Lanka, the Buddhism was just disappearing. And if someone to make a study, it will be very interesting what happened to the Buddhism in India. What happened to the Buddhism up to the 1956? I mean, a lot of foreign invasion and a lot of things happen, natural disasters and calamities happen. But net result is you forget about mindfulness, then whatever the other qualities you have, if they are without the mindfulness, you cannot be full-fledged Buddhist or meditator. Or otherwise, it won't help you. It's just superficial. Just like the unbiased or unfounded saddha or superficial saddha, once it becomes mobilized, you start something. Then only the Dhamma going to work, or you are going in Dhamma way, Dhamma going to work in your way. Otherwise, they are superficial. So therefore, the Buddha here also in Sakuludaayi Sutta, not in a very stressful manner, he says, whenever I proclaim the way, they start with 4 foundations of mindfulness. Buddha never say that these are the other qualities, because mindfulness is the precursor for the mindfulness. Faith never leads to mindfulness. Not necessarily. Faith is a necessary aspect. Whatever the effort you take, by effort you can't go to the mindfulness, but when you become mindful, effort is a conditioning, or it is a helpful factor. And you can be very, very concentrated, but you may not attribute your success to the mindfulness. You may be wise, worldly sense, but you will never attribute, you will never understand the role of the mindfulness. So therefore, in very early in his essay, Jnana the founder of the Buddhist Publication Society, it's a task of a Buddha. It's a colossal task of the Buddha to give the due place for the mindfulness, because mindfulness never jump and claim its qualities. It's a very shy character. He says, if I am to attribute that in the way, in a drama, mindfulness is a very shy character. It is the radiating inwardly, not outwardly. So therefore, if you are a yogi, you have to understand the faith is kind of outwardly. It's always jumping and showing and claiming and asking your name and everything. And whenever you are effortful, you always show advertising yourself. Whenever you have samadhi, whenever you have wisdom, they are advertising kind of characters, if you are to attribute them as characters. But imagine the mindfulness. Whenever you are mindful, you are inwardly, what we call inside, and you try to hide it as much as possible and protect it. So, if you are to go for a vote or any democratic canvas, mindfulness is utterly defeated. It will defeat because it is never canvassing. It is not advertising. So therefore, this is where the will, the volition, or your adverting of your mind to the mindfulness is the one going to change your personality, is the one going to change your likings and disliking. And that very first introduction is enough, and rest of the thing mindfulness will take care. So at the beginning, Buddha started this wheel. But unlucky enough in Sri Lanka, we had a golden era whereby people were, and the country were, and the economy was completely mingled with mindfulness. And we had such a strong economy, had such a strong history and ruling methods, and socially the most welcoming people on the earth, because these cultural changes by outset or externally you can't see in the mindfulness, but that is the end of it. So therefore in a retreat or in a full-time retreat, we start right from the beginning. Our whole retreat is to give the foundation for mindfulness. So of course now we are not at the beginning, but the very particular Sakuludaayi Sutta, Maha Sakuludaayi Sutta, is giving a chance for us to remind the value of the mindfulness. Or for foundation of mindfulness. Punchapanangudavi, Akkhata Maya Savaka, Patipada Yathapanna, Te Savaka, Chattaro Satipatthana Bhaviti. Whenever someone listen to me, and if they get the message clearly, the way they practice is, their practice is now onward, nothing but for foundation of mindfulness. And it is directly related to Eight Noble Path. So, the rest of the sutta is Buddha is explaining how this four foundation of mindfulness at the starting point, gradually through the 37 factors of enlightenment, leading to Eight Noble Path, and that is the path. So anyone started mindfulness, they have win the path. But many are not happy to accept it. They think we have to find who is the Aryan is, and who is the enlightened being is, who is the noble person is, who is the true person is. So as far as you are here and now, or here now I am, maybe little odd to say, just go in front of a mirror and see, you can see an Arya. But being here and looking at the image is little contradictory, I know. But if you wish to know Arya, sit in front of a mirror, and whenever you are here and now, this is the Arya. So you will not go in search of Aryans and pay respect and kind of thing. You will pay again and again the respect to the here, now I am. The moment that change took place, gathering the moment, Dhammachakka, then the wheel start to turn. Many, even audience like this, may not hesitate to understand or accept this fact. But the doubt they entertain is, how can I be here and now throughout? That is the problem. That is, you expect theoretical maximum right from the beginning. Buddha never prescribed that kind of thing, because he is a pragmatic, he is a human, practical person. He has so much of past lives, gather the momentum slowly, and even in his last very life itself, so much of practice. Then only he was happy to proclaim this. Soon you understand, you can't go to the theoretical maximum. You have to understand, within a day, can I be mindful for 1 split second? That is your test. If you can be mindful in 1 split second, you are a potential Arya. Hold the rest of the sutta, hold the balance of your meditative life, celibate life, is to make it maximize. That is called bhavana, cultivation, but verification to say, or verifying and understanding, I can be here and now for 1 split second, that's the biggest merit I have done, or highest skillfulness I have. So how can I increase or continue, perpetuate that very thought moment? That is what you call the yogi. That is what you call the meditator. So therefore, understanding the mindfulness is so crucial to protect Buddhism or to get veneration or to give this attribution to the Buddha and for you to become an Arya. And each and every moment you are in here and now, if you do not hesitate, accept this as you are an Arya. Still, I would like to give little bit of explanation or expansion, the meaning of mindfulness. When you are studying the whole Tripitaka or the canon, the Buddha himself, as well as the commentary says, the diligence and the mindfulness in Pali, Appamada and Sati, both of them recognized as synonyms. Of course, they have some little nuances, differences. The mindfulness is a mental factor. Just like the faith, energy, hatred, desire, sleepiness, it's a mental factor. The appamada is somewhat mental as well as ethical. Appamada is or diligence in English, and it is the opposite of negligence. Whenever you are negligent, you say you are pamada. You are not with time or with space. So in order to understand appamada, you have to introduce pamada. It is very common in day-to-day life. And then with respect to only you have to understand appamada. Whenever you are in the social works, especially in Sri Lanka, anything you schedule, you are 30 minutes usually behind the program. That is Sri Lankan national identity. You never work to time. So that means pamada. So wherever you go, you see they have programs, all the kinds, but never work when the time comes. So ultimately they ask, we have to ask Westerners how to work to the time. Some Westerners also very lousy. I have been to the West. They are also not. But Sri Lankan, they believe they are work to the rule and they are abiding by the rule. I mean, it's good. Because you know it is possible on this earth. But I would say Westerners also learn this from Buddha. Buddha is the person given the timetable for the human mind for the first time on the chronological, historical event. He fixed a timetable for him, abiding by it for 45 years and prescribed by others. And there he says, do it in, then other person can understand, predict you as far as you are a social being. And if you are not working to the time, then it's a desperation and disappointment. So therefore, one social meaning is not to neglect, not to be negligent, but be diligent to do what you should do on time. I mean, that is the social interpretation for the diligence. But this is something religious, this is something spiritual. It has another shadow, not to do what you should not do, that also you have to fulfill diligently. That is the part lacking in our spiritual life. We are very happy to do what you should do. We call it responsibilities and our commitments and kind of thing. But you hardly understand not only do's, but there are some don'ts. For that, we don't do it, but in hiding, we are up to anything. So therefore our diligence is paralyzed. It is only we are concerned about the do's, but most of the time, don'ts, we don't give the due respect. I mean, it is a natural thing, but one has to take responsibility. The diligence is not only by fulfilling duties, but there are some rules, don'ts. So that we have to take care. That is what you call highest culture or highest civilized person on the earth. He is so concerned about not to disturb others, not to exploit others. So you have to abide. Even the God can't. Even the Brahma can't. Animal kingdom nowhere. Only the cultured human can understand when I live in a society, these things will give some embarrassment or difficulties to the others. So others may say or not, but I must be sensitive, I must be diligent not to do that what you should not do, and for that you must be diligent. The precepts come under that category. 8 precepts. You can kill animal. You can go sporting, fishing. You will be considered the highest grade in the society. But you can take a precept, I am not going to kill. For that no one will kill you. No one can't. Because it's the highest culture. Still you can say, okay, you are a sportsman, you go and shoot the animal, you go and fish animal, it's up to you. But I have my duty not to do. And stealing. Today whole world, they have no shame. From the top to the bottom, everyone opportunist. They misappropriate. And they justify it by this rule and that rule. Whatever may be, they are throughout their life, throughout the day, it's looting, robbing, and taking the properties, misappropriating. Serve themselves. And you can make a decision. Of course, this is the world, my parents, my teachers, everyone. But what about just depend on what is given? What is due? That is what you call diligence, not to do what you should not do. And sexual misconduct. It's a very difficult subject for the moment in the West to discuss because that has become a norm. Living together and that kind of relationship, this is like a hunger or kind of thing. So therefore, as far as it is keeping up to 2, no problem. So therefore, these issues very difficult to discuss also because they are norms. But you can take a decision not to have misconduct, or you can have celibacy. Complete celibacy. Some may say it is beyond, against the biology, against the chemical body of your chemical body, but even then, it's possible. So these are the things you socially or ethically, you are going to a kind of a culture, kind of a gentlemanship, and training yourself and restraining yourself. Buddha is without any hesitation, he says these are the restrainment as far as the body is concerned, and you can abstain from lying, slandering, harsh words and tail carrying and all the kind of thing. Even if you do it, no one can find fault with you, unless otherwise there was a case. But when you are decided or determined not to do it, that is what you call the highest culture, but still it is at the ethical level or moral level or at the restrainment regarding the precepts. So these things one has to start. This is what you call Sila Sikha. And then only you do away with 4 kinds of fear. We discuss in the very first day, second day. Whenever you are committing this kind of killing, stealing and sexual misconduct and lying, slandering kind of thing, when and where you confine to a darkness or sickness or old age, you have the self-curse. It appears like sometimes the frustration or guilt or remorse, whatever may be. So don't think it is imposed by the society. We have a kind of, in evolution itself, we have a kind of the moral shame and the moral fear. Sometimes it comes up. So therefore the Buddha says once it come out, no way. So therefore what about restraining? What about be diligent upon them? And that is how you do away with the self-curse or self-criticism. And definitely the criticism from the others also less for people, those who are restrained from killing, stealing and the sexual misconduct and the verbal misdeeds. So therefore, others also will not vehemently complain you or will be reduced. And penal code or social norm, the civil laws also will not consider you as a bad person, will consider you as a citizen, decent citizen. And according to the Buddhist way of presentation, if you commit this kind of bad thing, after the death you have to suffer a lot. And you have to go to the netherworld. So even before going to the netherworld, you are suffering. You know where your destiny. So likewise, whenever you restrain it, that very understanding of lack of stress, lack of tension, no, you need not to ask someone. This is the beginning of the diligence. And that is, even outsiders can see. Not only you. Even outsiders can see, now this man or this woman is now little concerned about this kind of thing. Earlier they were reckless. Now they become little by little. So these things are necessary things before starting for foundation of mindfulness. This is the way diligence come into being, that is to do away with the negligence. And then only, or only then, when and where you sit, when and where you go to a solitude place, forest, under a tree or solitude place, you can be happy, contented, because I am not killing, I am not stealing, I am not trying to have any sexual misconduct, or lying, slandering, nothing. So therefore, being on the earth with the least disturbance from the others, that very thing, no, not necessarily someone has to come and give a thanks or any kind of thing, you can acknowledge yourself. Without that, there won't be any peace of mind. If it is so, you have to go for anesthesia, you have to go for drug dosage, or some other thing to have a peace, or even sleeping. Because your mind is ever cursing, so therefore, this particular precepts or moral restrainment is directly related to your the contentment when and where you come to a silent place, maybe a meditation or even for sleep. So therefore Buddha says, whatever it is not pertaining to this kind of a lack of perplexion in the mind is not sila. Sila is the what, when and where you abiding by this restrainment, you get peace of mind, relatively. You become contented when and where you have solitude, because we people are slowly nearing the death. We people are slowly going to the old age. We don't know when we are going to fall into sick. So when that happens, the outside people can do some kind of amusement, but ultimately you are confined to yourself. And if the self-curse is there, you know where the destiny is. So therefore, when and where possible, practice it. I mean, moral practice and the ethical area, and experience it. When and where I am limit to myself, can I be happy with myself? Can I be happy with my posture? Can I be happy with here and now? So that is the way the concentration or concentration restrainment going to happen. So that is also kind of an exercise to check whether your precepts or your morality is helping, so that you have to go away from the society or multitasking life and take little time to be unto oneself and see, when I sit alone with myself, am I become more agitated, fault-finding with others, or self-criticism, or find the world is in a mess, or instead I can be happy now, at least due to the precepts that I am observing, I can be with my bodily posture. So there also that kind of a diligent application and confined to your body or confined to in-breath and out-breath is an exercise. Naturally, in our day-to-day life, it is never happened by an accident. That's why it's called patipada. That's why it is called the way. It is invented not only by the Buddha, even before it was there, but Buddha prescribed it. So therefore we people come here and sit, walk and all the kind of thing to take this chance and see, do away with the day-to-day chorus or any multitasking. We depend on someone's food and live in the place where someone is prescribed and given and try to see, can I be happy here with my sitting posture, walking, what is the food I am going to get, what is the other amenities I am to get. So that indicates whether your precepts are leading to the concentration. Are you more diligent than generosity and morality? Now you test it with. So this is the way you get committed. So four kinds of satipatthana, specifically the Kayanupassana, what the first thing Buddha prescribed, is common for concentration restrainment as well as the wisdom restrainment. So therefore at the beginning, even if you are a Vipassana yogi, if you wish to recognize yourself as a Vipassana yogi, a concentration is a must. Without that you can't do it. Something like whenever the operation to take place, you have to take the patient into the theater. You can't do the operation in the kitchen or in the toilet. You have to have the theater. So something like that, because it is disinfection, infected. That is how the sila. It must be fairly done away with the external infestation so that atmosphere is free of germs. And then before the operation, generally you have to inject anesthesia. Otherwise the patient himself will be distracting and disturbing the operation. So concentration is like anesthesia. Before the operation it has to take place. So mindfulness or sati, little further in the definition, come into that level, and where you try to be mindful. When you are trying to be mindful, the momentum of or continuity of mindfulness easily can recognize as the concentration. Then and there mindfulness is called sati matra. It is called bare insight or bare mindfulness. That is the what we have first introduced. When you are introducing, we say, our mind is jumping from object to object, or monkey mind. So therefore, go to a forest, sit under a tree, or go to a solitary place and see, as far as you are in the village and the household, that is bound to jump from one to the other, or varietal entertainment. Now you are going to focus little or narrowing down the range, and if possible to one particular object. So when and where you are to apply the mind to one particular object, and if you come to know that now my mind is with that object, that is what you call mindfulness. If you do not know which one to which one, jumping and no agenda and it is going, for the beginner, it's difficult to define that as mindfulness, so therefore you confine to one particular object, and verily you know, I am not with the rest. So therefore relativity is that you know you are here, and deductive knowledge says you are not with the rest of the world. So that understanding only possible for human beings. It is not possible for other animals or other, it is impossible for unmindful people and nowhere. So therefore mindfulness indicate, here now I am this, and deductive knowledge says I am do away with the others. So that way the mindfulness, when it is defined in the canonical way or canonical exegesis, they give 4 tools for someone to understand whether one is mindful or not. First thing is apilapana lakkana. That means if you are not mindful, mind is jumping from one to the other superficially. Just like you throw a piece of cork or rigiform into water, it wobbles and taken by the currents or taken by the wind. It never penetrates. So that is our day-to-day life. Day-to-day mind jumping from one to the other. You can't find any agenda from seeing to hearing. Hearing to something or again seeing. So from morning to evening, if you can have bookkeeping, no one can say, I have an agenda. Even if you try, it's an utter failure at the end of the day to see how it is jumping from one to the other. So therefore it is wobbling here and there. Instead of the mindfulness, whenever you know this is my solace, this is my oasis, this is my purity, whenever you focus it, the mindfulness has the penetrating capacity to that particular object. So it may be very advanced state, but that is the way mindfulness is given as its attribution. It's Pandita Sayadaw, he says, when you are in a dining table and there's a plate of boiled potato, maybe a piece of potato in the salad. So when you are piercing your fork into the piece of potato, it must be in the proper angle and the proper weight, and then you feel, even if it is far away, you feel the fork is piercing into the piece of potato. When you take the fork back, it comes with the piece of potato. If it is not piercing, when you take the fork back, only the fork is coming. So therefore, when it is piercing, you can feel it. When you take the fork back, it is coming with the potato. So for that you have a particular angle and the weight. So likewise, whenever your mind is mindful on one particular object, it needs vitakka vichara, just like the weight and the angle. And you know, it is not superficially wobbling here and there, you can feel the mind is with it. So that is compared with the unmindfulness. Unmindful is wobbling and floating. So when and where you sit and come to know that I am sitting, how do you know whether mindfulness is installed or not? Our normal language can't explain. You can explain anything out of mindfulness in poetic language and English language and mathematics and arts and anything. Try to explain the mindfulness, no way. Only you can compare it with unmindful states. When you are unmindful, mind in the past and the future, or other place or other people. Whenever the mindfulness is there, it is not in the past, not in the future, not with other people, not with other places. And I would say, you feel, if you are sharp enough, you feel I am not dead. That's a clear indication you are mindful. And if it is continuing, you can say, I am not sleepy, I am not unmindful or faint. So these three characters indicate when and where you are away from unmindfulness. So if you are not testing it, if you are not experimenting with it, these talks and these prescriptions or these recommendations are just superficial. You can write PhD thesis and kind of thing, but nothing is going to change your personality or your likings and disliking on your spiritual path. So therefore one day, even after listening to it 1001 times, you have to apply yourself and see when the in-breath happens, just like you sitting, do you know it is not out-breath? Do you know it is not a sound and pain and thought? That is in-breath. So, Loka Amaduro, my teacher, when he is writing about detail, he says, when and where you in the out-breath, as far as you know it is not in-breath, that's the internal justification and a clue or witness you are on the in-breath. And you can say not a sound, not a pain, not a thought, but in the in-breath. So it is so simple, but many try to make it so complicated and they are asking long formulas and many other tactics rather than using their own intuitive knowledge. Apply again and again. No problem. 1,001 times you are misfire. Because of enthusiastic or lack of energy. Or not targeted in the proper way. So you are off shooting. So therefore one day, definitely one day you are going to have it. So therefore when and where mind is wobbling, here and there you are Bombay looking and you see Calcutta. That is not mindfulness. That is what the interview reports you are writing. Whenever you can understand, asking whenever mindfulness is intact, please report. You are talking about this difficulty, that mishap, this mishap. So you are so much happy with this unmindfulness. It's very rare, but if you can pick it and put into the report, you are appreciating. Remember Katakurunti Jnanananda says, it is something like elephant is pointing its trunk to pick a needle amidst in the straw. And imagine the way he is, all the straws are there, but the elephant knows it is to pick, and it's the edge of the trunk also not very sharp, and something like, midst of all the objects, you know my mindfulness is here. That's what's called the focusing. That's called the adverting. That's pinpointing. That is not you, that is one of your attribution in your mind. So mindfulness is mobilizing it. Again and again, you pick, just like piercing a fork into the piece of boiled yam or potato, you see it is whether it's piercing or not. The Mahasi Sayadaw says, if you take a javelin and hit into a soft soil, it penetrates. That is mindfulness. If you put a javelin onto a rock, it never penetrates, it will get hooked up, it will jump away. So likewise, our mind is master to jump, bewilder, run. Each and every time you have to understand, now I am better off because I know unmindfulness. And occasionally, or once in a way, you find, now it is directly going to the, now I know with respect to unmindfulness, this is mindfulness. That is called, it is not slipping away, but penetrating, apilapana lakkana. And asammosa rasa, that when and where it happens, you know, I am exactly on this object, not the other object. You can specifically mention, not bewildered. You know, this is the point where my mind is. Whether it is an expected primary object or not. Both of them you can report. That very precision. Or make out exactly is called asammosa rasa. Otherwise, we are talking, we don't know the subject we are talking. We are answering, we don't know the question. We are treating, we don't know the root cause of the disease. So that is the way it is happening nowadays. I have figured out whether the doctor meet the patient and the symptoms. It never happens. Doctor prescribes the technician putting into the machine, and machine is going to say, this is your disease. Even if you have no disease, if the technician is going to say, you have to say yes. If the technician is going to say, you have only one kidney, can't help. Because that is the way that the machines are more appropriate now. And for example, when you go to the court and say, I saw that man is killing that man. The court says you can tell anything. What is the evidence? If you show photo, that is accepted. Human voice, not anywhere. So we have gone to that. If this I have taken a photo, is more than accepted. If you are going to say, no, human observations are sometimes not credible. So we have given all our credibility to machines. So if the machine is wrong or not calibrated, if the operator is drunkard, okay. Because when you again and again observing the same machine, you are already drunkard, doped, not with alcohol. You are fed up with. So this is what, but you don't believe your direct observation. So not on the observation, you are clearly know, I shoot it, it hit that target. And that asammosa rasa, you are not bewildered. And not at the beginning, it is happening after long practice only. You can clearly say, when I am practicing, my mind is often go to the past and regret happens. Often go to the future and excitement happens. Often go to the sleepiness, or often go into the over-enthusiastic agitation, or liking of the object, disliking object. Really only you can say it goes to in-breath as I am doing in-breath. So, do away with all the 6 pitfalls or traps. Whenever it is going to the primary, if you are not appreciating, who the hell going to get benefits? And if you are going to say all the mistakes happening and full of your report is this mistake and that mistake, you are knowingly or unknowingly fertilizing and feeding defilements. So knowing when the object mind goes to the particular object, you are the very person, not the Buddha, not the teacher. You have to write it. So that is called asammosa rasa, no bewilderment when it's happened. Even if it's bewildered, you can write. Even you shoot to the rabbit, but you hit only the bush. Beat at the bush. Can happen. Not the George Bush, but I am telling bush. So by reporting that nothing wrong in the meditation, in mindfulness. But many people say each and every shooting it must go to the rabbit or hare. Never. It's happening very rarely. So you have to promote it, you have to appreciate it, you have to facilitate it. Then only the frequency will be increasing. So therefore that precision is not in the Upanishads, I have to say, short to the point. Don't talk nonsense. Whenever you are successful, write it. If it is not, practice more and more. Start your report with the success. So that means you are positive. And asammosa rasa, vichayabhumukha pachupattana, when it's happening, the particular object you wanted to have face to face naturally will come in face to face. You know, this is the subject I just wanted to maximize. At the beginning it was very difficult. Now slowly, it is coming to be face to face. So I will give an example. Definitely I know you all are going to criticize me. When a boy is aiming at a girl and looking again and again, one day that girl will comes to know that boy is interested in and going to give eye. And you know now, I am face to face with that girl. So far, I was asking but no response. Now it is happening. So I was utter failure in that game. That is why I became a monk. But it is very easy thing. When you pay attention to one particular girl, she do not know at the beginning, but when again and again that attention happens, she becomes titillated. And ultimately she also start to look at. Then only the communication takes place eye to eye. So likewise, object do not know whether you are chasing behind it. The moment you give again and again the attention, one day the affair start with the primary object and the romantic meditative mind. So that never happens unless otherwise you take that kind of a specific effort. And when it is successful, the reporting very thing is your appreciation. So therefore, more and more you practice Vichayabhumukha Vachupattana, your subject. The thing that you are applying, one day you can see kind of a consent, kind of a attraction or kind of a softness. So that is always specifically at the beginning with so much of effort. Never without. So therefore, Vichayabhumukha Pachupattana, you are the person to do it. So Buddha says very pragmatically, imagine if you can have that connection in your early part of your life, before coming to the middle age and the old age, then you are going to get the total benefit of that mindfulness to the rest of your life. So if in the Buddha says 3 phases in the life, the early stage, middle stage and the old stage. When you are in the early stage of your life, hair black and youth is there, And while it is happening, if you can get the connection with your primary object or whatever may be connection with the mindfulness, so much so it is better. But the thing is, at that age, many are with these romantic feelings and all the kind of, they have very little time for development of the mindfulness. So that is why in the Nissarana also we invite as much as possible younger generation, but very difficult. You can fill the full hall with all crock. No problem. They are coming again and again. Can't tell, because we have to fill it, and therefore we allow it. This is at least 40% for the younger generation, and we are trying our best, if possible, to introduce this mindfulness to the school children at the grade 10. But then the problem, all the school children are not Buddhist. So we have to introduce mindfulness as a secular tactic. So that is how it happens in the Maharashtra, in India. They introduce mindfulness just like a Goenka system and no religion. So one day when you become very, very senior in meditation or thorough in mindfulness, you may find mindfulness is not Buddhist. You will get disheartened also. If you are the devoted Buddhist, you will say, but the Buddha is the first person recognize this value of the mindfulness. For that mindfulness to happen, or mindfulness to gather the momentum, or mindfulness to catch the momentum, what is the proximate factor? Mindfulness. Repetitive application. Wrongful may be kayadi satarasatipatthana padatthana. Or thirasanya padatthana, you label it, you name it. That is how Mahasi Sayadaw introduced this. If you wish to be with in-breath and out-breath, he of course recommend. Of course at his book at the early part he was talking about the in-breath and out-breath. After the number of editions only he introduced this in-breath and the rising and falling. He says if you wish to highlight in-breath and out-breath, note it. As and when the in-breath happens, note it as in-breath. As and when the out-breath happens, note it as out-breath, amidst of sounds, amidst of pains and any thoughts. More you name it, more chances to face it. And knowingly, going prepared, never the in-breath, out-breath come alone. It is coming with the midst of all the kind of things. Never mind, if you know this is your target, that preparedness also happening only through meditation or mistakes. So this is how you introduce the sati matrava or momentary mindfulness. I would say this is the most important junction in the meditative life. Not the continuity. Continuity is very easy to explain once the particular person got the acquaintance with this momentary mindfulness. And I know maybe 100% of you in the audience, you have it. But you never report it. You are reporting mishaps. Even to the whole sitting, if one split second happen, the successful mindfulness, write a whole report on that. And that, I would say 95% of that positive. And write 5%, I earned this with so much of difficulties, the pains and the thoughts and sounds, okay. But if you are going to start with something mistake, you are never supporting mindfulness, you are not giving the proper place for the mindfulness, so therefore mindfulness becomes so desperate. It becomes backward. Because you very person don't give the appreciation. So whenever Jnanaponika says that being mindful and to be mindful is one aspect, and appreciation, the same thing, is completely different thing. It is a matter of communication. It's a matter of presentation. So that is why not only the Dhamma talks, the question and answers. Even if you are an expert mindful person, just report. Definitely more than you, the other person can understand, because he is looking from the another viewpoint. And that itself will come later, but always you take another mindful person, better to have an advanced person, just report it. So it is like doing homework and next day you go and show it to the class teacher. It appears like Montessori. It appears like a very kindergarten level, but that is the way to establish the momentary mindfulness. But what I took time basically is to introduce this momentary mindfulness, and that is what, and when and where you become unmindful in the day, again you have to be like a beginner, try to earn this momentary mindfulness. Even if you are an expert yogi, lot of chances are there for you to understand, I am not mindful. So don't worry about that. See, how can I earn or gain a split second of mindfulness or momentary mindfulness. It is being called beginner's mind. Even at the expert level, don't expect mind to be totally from morning to evening mindfulness. It is reciprocal with the unmindfulness and the mindfulness. When and where you know I am unmindful, it's a very good start, and apply this momentary mindfulness, and you can see you become self-sufficient slowly. You know the art. Whenever unmindfulness happens, it's a chance for you to get the momentary mindfulness. Once you get the momentary mindfulness, it's a matter of continuity of the mindfulness. So very many never give this due value for this beginner's attitude or beginner's tactic. So much so, you overshoot the target. You put the cart before the horse. So specifically you will understand, one day, if you wish to introduce this to someone, don't talk about high class kind of thing, just introduce the very simple way. And most of the time I wish to see someone is introducing mindfulness to the other person, I find everyone start with the top class, the beginner can't understand. When you are introducing, you have to get the beginner's mind and introduce the way he has never heard about, he has never experienced, so you have to teach it, as one of the Westerners put, just like teaching the second language. When you are learning the second language, you will be an elderly person, but you have to behave like a child. And your teaching also must be very, very from the preliminaries. So mindfulness, it's a kind of a thing. More and more you teach, more and more you become endowed with. So you people are very miserly, not teaching others. I am not asking to come and do. Do it in a silent sermon. Do mindfully, without talk. The other person get the good vibration. So your deeds are more louder than your words. So when the mindfulness happening, so when you are living in a mindful place, the beginners get the good vibration. They get the message. Not by giving a sermon, but by behave. So therefore, even at you back at home, or even not in the sitting or walking meditation, each and every moment, either you practice yourself, or you are, or momentary mindfulness, or you gather the momentum, or try to exemplify it. I am not only mentioning about the acting or double action, but behave in such a way, others also may gain something by your behavior. So the perpetuation or message is continuity. So that is why the Buddha says, whenever disciples comes to me, I teach them the way out, or way leading to the cessation, and they put into practice. More you practice, more you respect the Buddha. The Buddha says, those who see Dhamma will see me. Those who do not see, they will do Silabbata Paramasa and all the kind of thing they expect next Buddha to come, just like a Santa Claus come and put dolls into your maze while you are sitting, sleeping. You try to make the Buddha also like a Santa Claus. Now this is your practical part, so therefore we are the best people on the earth, at least trying. or I would say striving. So therefore keep on this striving. More and more you practice, whatever the mistake you do, never go in waste. So therefore may this talk also helpful you to gain more confidence and the mental power, determination to strive more and more on the mindfulness, and ultimately gathering the momentum, so that leading to the Eighth Noble Path. Thank you very much for listening.